Morning. There's a little bit of a dew overnight that may affect our plans this morning. Spooky fog this morning as well. Okay, I've driven around, scouted a few fields, consumed a large amount of caffeine, and the fog has lifted, so we're gonna head back to the farm and get started on our work for the day. For those of you who keep a pretty close track of the chronological timeline, this is all gonna be a little out of whack because I didn't film yesterday. Because we just had a piddly little field of corn to finish, it was an easy day. I did not fire up the video capturing machine. That cornfield is completely harvested, and the S780 with the corn head is back at the main farm and is refueled, ready to go for the day. Picking corn was the weekend project. Today we're focused on soybeans again, so we're setting this corn head down. Who put that there? Other than switching from corn to soybeans on the monitor, the feed accelerator, which is the first thing I did, is on high where we like to run it. You don't technically have to run it on high, but some people do, some people don't. The rotor's on the second gear, which allows you a higher speed range because you thresh beans at a faster RPM. The knives are in the chopper. The plan within the next hour to hour and a half is to get the big combine moved back up north to those last 3-1 beans we tried cutting the other day that were way too wet. We think a couple days of drying should have done them some good, so we're going to give them another shot here shortly. In the meantime, we're going to see if we can get the old Ford truck out of the shed that we looked at the other day that a local farmer's wanting to buy. You can probably hear it rumbling in the background. We did get it started. All we had to do is drain the old fuel. We put some fresh diesel fuel in with some additive or treatment to kind of clean it out a little bit. Now we're going to see if we can get it unstuck from the spot in the shed.
Down the road and have that dust and come throw it in.
Okay, truck's running out of the shed. We cleaned it up a little bit. They're gonna come look at it again for the third time and hopefully buy it off of us for a reasonable price. We sat on these for a long time. Jeff and Dad claim there's no sentimental value, but the red color scheme today that matches across the board makes me think otherwise. This is probably one of the trucks I grew up as a kid riding in. Obviously things change, you make upgrades to improve the efficiency and bottom line of your farm. We've moved to semis, they're just a better fit for a larger operation, and it's just something that's sat in the shed for a long time, and Dad's really never wanted to let it go for less than he thinks it's worth, but I personally think we need the shed space, so hopefully it leaves the farm today. Still a little bit early. I don't think these beans will cut even once he gets up to the field. We may try to just run a sample through, see what they're testing. We're gonna wait on the second combine because there is a small chance that these soybeans do not test moisture-wise today, and these later maturity beans behind the main farm could possibly cut. So if those are a little bit wet, we may bring the other draper down, cut a sample with the second combine. The plan is though that if those beans do in fact look like they're gonna cut, well then we'll just move the other combine up and focus all our efforts up there. Here comes the boss man from the south. He's passing our Pioneer dealer Bruce's setup there. He's got a nice combine and grain cart. Probably gonna cut some beans this morning as well. There's still dew on these beans. They're not gonna cut for at least another hour and a half. I'm sure he'll try them, but not optimistic that they'll go anytime soon. It's like a milk dud, 14-15% maybe. With the amount of dew that's still sitting on the draper alone, Dad said he's not even going to try to cut him yet. It's going to be at least an hour before we even try to push a sample through the combine. Personally, I advise that we go ahead and just try him. He said that the soybean moisture is only one part of the issue. With this amount of dew still sitting, a lot of times these drapers do not do a very good job cutting these soybeans off. They drag up. It's just a real headache to even try to harvest them until they're dry on the stem too. Based on the pot I just grabbed, there's no way these would even test even if they did cut. Might be a nooner today. Now we're back at the cornfield from the other day to get the grain cart that we left here because we were unsure where we were headed next. We're just gonna run this 2 miles to the northwest and get ready to cut beans this morning. As always, I always like to kind of share our yield data with you. This field of Pioneer 1222 planted the 12th or 13th of April, 112-day corn, averaged about 16.8, 16.9% moisture, kind of like the other field we picked. It was lower at the elevator than it was showing on the combine. The dry yield when it was all said and done was about 237 bushels an acre. That's roughly 5 or 6, maybe 7 bushels worse than the 0953 Pioneer corn up the road, although there was a lot of variability this year based on the sporadic nature of the rainfalls that could have affected that. 237 is a respectable yield. Not going to say it's stellar by any means, something we've honestly come to expect. However, we can't complain given the dryness. Been about an hour and a half. We're going to go see if these beans will cut.
Did I turn the key on?
Must have.
I don't remember doing it. I had it with my knee.
Wow, it's noon and the beans aren't even under 15% yet. They sure look like they'd cut and be dry enough, but they're not. Probably a good thing. Except for this spot, it was kind of poor. Drying off a little bit on the backside of the hill.
How far should it go? Right here at this entrance?
I'm not really sure. Hell, I'd go up to...
Look how green those look.
On the end, definitely, because there's water damage.
No,
right?
I'm talking out in the field.
The east end of this field still a little bit on the wet side. We're going to the west end to hopefully see if maybe there's a drier spot over there we can start on, and by the time we make it to the east side, they'll be at an acceptable moisture. Not only are they not drier, they actually may be wetter. Sun shining, we really could use a breeze. That'd have them drying pretty quick. Here comes Katie with the other combine, but we're probably gonna have to shut down for another hour, let these beans dry some more. Need the sun to stay out. Another hour of warm temperatures and sunshine later. We're gonna go ahead and green light both combines, just assuming they're gonna cut now.
What is the moisture you show there? 13.3. 13.3. 1.4.
Gonna need all the horsepower we can get in this field. Wet, high-yielding beans. Takes a lot of power and a lot of fuel. We've been plugging along, cutting these beans. They're yielding phenomenally. I'll talk about that later, but we had something interesting occur. And by we, I mean our neighbor to the south here, Bruce. Dad said his combine's engine started acting up on a brand new S780. Power was surging and dropping and doing all sorts of stuff. This is secondhand information, so don't quote me on that. And it reminds me of what happened in this field, almost in the same area 2 years ago. This is where our S780 before this one completely crapped the bed on us. We had to have it pulled out of this field with the flatbed to go get the main hydraulics replaced on it. That was a long harvest. I'm sure some of you recall that, and that's the only reason I'm bringing up the neighbor's combine not working, because it's about the same age. I don't even want to say it because I might run the risk of jinxing us. This 780 has been stellar here, even on its second season. Obviously, it's still relatively new, but it's been great for us. Part of the reason why we haven't traded it yet, other than them wanting an egregious amount of money to trade for 1 year of operation, still, hard to get rid of a good machine. Not everyone that comes from the factory is perfect. Dad gave me the reins on the S780 here for like 5 minutes. He's meeting with a tile guy down the field to talk about a potential project out here. to improve the drainage a little bit, obviously. That's what tile guys do. This is our last field of the Pioneer 31 A73 soybeans, 3-1 enlist bean here. They're doing really good where we're at, although I think it's less to do with the soybeans, nothing against Pioneer. All their soybeans are pretty good. More to do with just the fact that this farm got some good rains. We're not too far away from the 240 bushel corn we picked, so I think there is some correlation there. Typically advised not to put too much merit in what the yield monitor says in corn. In beans, though, it seems to be pretty close, and it says it's averaging 82.4 bushels an acre dry right now, which is a pretty respectable bean yield. Well, that was fun while it lasted for an entire round and a half. Other than adding a little supplemental tile and a few troublesome areas on this farm, the really exciting upgrade this off-season is we're finally getting rid of this godforsaken wash that is literally uncrossable. We got approval from the Water Conservation NRCS, whoever the USDA dirt work organization is, to put in a waterway here because there's enough of a cut there. It's hurting yields. It's practically unfarmable. So we're going to put a waterway. That seems like the solid management choice. That's pretty much it for our Pioneer 31 A73Es. They yielded really good, but I won't say the number until I get it off the scales on the cart to make sure we're accurate. We're going to move directly to the south and see if we can get these Beck's 3555 Extend Flex soybeans to cut. Planted the same day, but they're a mid Group 3 as opposed to an early Group 3 we're cutting here. They look like they'd cut, they feel like they'd cut. However, I've been wrong before, so we'll see what the combine says when it dives in there. Started this 110 acre field at 1 p.m., give or take a few minutes. We finished it right at 5 p.m. on the dot. So 4 hours to cut 110 acres with 2 combines. That's pretty good work for us. We're usually not that impressive. We turned around. I don't know what that means. You may just want to go out through the middle with that sample. Listen to that 780 howl. Good beans, though. They may be wet too. What are they testing?
14 to 16.
What's the lowest you've seen?
Right here, they're 12, but there's not too many of them.
Well,
12-2. I don't know.
should we try to take a sample of the elevator with a bag or something, see what they're going to show in the machine?
You can. You want to?
Let's try that.
It says 11-9 now. So tell me what to do.
Now let's just cut them, I guess.
13, 12, 8.
Hopefully they blend out right.
All they want, they're going to be above 13.
Well, that's fine. As long as they're not over 14.5, I'm fine with it. We're going to do it. You can tell just by the sound of the machine that these are plenty wet. Not really about how wet the worst ones are, it's about what they average out to. We're definitely getting all the beans out of the pod. See, even there's a green pod. Got the beans out. That's what we're looking for. We do have a few beans on the ground. I don't think that's threshing losses. It's not going out the back. We just can't keep them all in the head. Who knows? Maybe we could pay for one of those fancy aerials with a few beans here and there. Adds up pretty quickly over our soybean acreage. I'll start with the good news. Yields are looking good, and our first load to the elevator tested 13.3, which is about as perfect as you can get. The bad news is that although these beans seem to be yielding very high, they're cutting incredibly hard. The combines are crawling through the field, probably somewhat due to the yield, the moisture, but also just the variety of themselves. Some's cut a little harder. More specifically, the clean grain elevator on Katie's combine just threw a code that it had no speed, which is not a good sign. Usually, if your speed's not showing up on your clean grain elevator, that means that you probably threw your belt, and that is a very complicated belt to fix.
Get that on Jeff pretty quick and get him going, Andy.
Copy that. What was your moisture, Chris? This is probably going to be the last load that actually makes it to the elevator tonight. Dad said his combine showed 11% and change, which is a comfortable moisture to load the trucks. I don't really know what we're gonna do. We're gonna hop out and look at Katie's combine. Jeffson, make it to the elevator in 5 minutes mode right now. They close pretty shortly. What's damaged? Well, you might as well open it up now. They look a little wet, Katie. It may still be fine though. Don't turn it on. Come on, speed it all the way up. You definitely rubbed the belt a little bit, but I think the clean grain elevator was just plugged. You want me to have her try to cut?
We'll cut that little strip there, see what happens.
All right, copy that. Speaking of issues, I saw this earlier too. That's inconvenient. I'm not sure if this is a good idea or not. We're gonna have her try and cut this little strip of beans, see if it runs.
Are we going to be spinning inside the grain tank?
Is it not?
Like the one that shoots up.
The fountain is not putting grain out?
No.
Katie just radioed and said that the bubble auger up top is not running, which is not a good sign. Look at that. Only one mess to clean up if we do it again here. I'm gonna be honest with you all, I have no idea what even spins that auger, so that's probably gonna be a tech call in the morning. Katie and Dad are doing a little switcheroo right now, so the head mechanic is on his way to look at this. I'm no scentologist, but something does not smell right in here. The clean grain are the paddles that bring it up the side of the combine, and this bubble auger is what fills the grain tank. So there's obviously something going on.
Okay.
Katie said that wasn't spinning.
Let's close it a little more.
More?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure this one's in the approved service manual. The 3/4 shut grain tank approach. Well, that's not good. For those of you who are not combine experts, that can be diagnosed as a combine that's not going to be operational until at least midday tomorrow, if not later.
I forgot here.
There's that bubble auger. The drive piece on the end just broke clean off. For a minute there, I thought we weren't going to have anything to do exciting in the morning. Now we got to fix something that's broken. Last load of the elevator tested 14.3, which is getting a little wetter, still better than 10%. The issue is that we can't get anything else to the elevator tonight. Anything we leave on the truck is going to pick up 1%, and you get over 15%, you're looking at a pretty good dock on your soybeans. So we may not have a choice just based on the events that occurred. Come here. Oh, home sweet home. As it is fairly evident, we do have a little fixer-upper project first thing in the morning to get Katie's S670 running. I guess that's just the price of wear and tear and cutting what looked to be 85 to 90 bushel tough cutting soybeans. That's just part of going. Eventually you're going to break down, especially with combines. They're very complex, cumbersome machines. Make sure you tune in the next episode if you want to see what happens. As always, I greatly appreciate every single one of you continuing to tune in and support the channel. Your viewership means the world to me. I'll catch you all in the next episode. Until then, make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day, everyone. Peace!